And last night was the first night I was like, I wonder if they would trade him. Like, I wonder if there was a Rui Hachimura and a contract for Draymond, just like, let's just mix this up and go in a different direction. I think they would. And if I'm another team, like the reason this initially came up was we're talking about the Lakers, right? A team that when they put their best three guys together, have a lot of trouble on defense. And the net ratings with LeBron and Reaves and Luka together just hasn't been good. It makes sense. You put Draymond on that team, reinvigorated with, I can't believe they traded me. I'm going to triple down and be a maniac. And that's kind of what the Lakers need.
If he has an opportunity to play with his king, his BFF LeBron James, he's not going to give up that opportunity. He already glazed him 24/7. Now you could be next to him and glaze him at the same time. The only person Draymond Green respects is his phony GOAT, his king, his BFF LeBron James. That's the only person that can keep Draymond Green in line. Bill Simmons talks about the Warriors trading Draymond Green to the Lakers. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Draymond melted down again. Poor Steve Kerr. He just needs like a full-time therapist, a marriage counselor, just to deal with the Warriors. But Draymond melts down again. And the difference this time around versus when he was, at the level he was at, I just don't think he's quite at the same level anymore. Yeah,
Draymond's not at the same level. So before, he can act this way, but they were still winning championships. So not only has Draymond Green's skills declined, but the Warriors overall have declined. They can't compete in the playoffs. They can barely make the playoffs. If there wasn't a play-in, the Warriors, they would have been out the playoffs a lot of times. So by them not winning championships, by Draymond Green still acting up, and they're losing, it's not fun anymore. They don't want to deal with it, but they're always going to move on. When it comes to Draymond Green, he can act out, choke people, slap people, punch his teammate, doesn't matter, just because he built up a lot of equity, helping to win championships, being a role player, being there for the ride, setting illegal screens for Steph Curry. That's what he does best, and they're willing to keep it moving with Draymond Green. So he's been blessed and fortunate to be with the Warriors. They gave him an opportunity to be there for the ride and set moving screens, and he's selfish. He goes off on anybody. Doesn't care if you're a player or the coach. He's going to keep a different type of energy with you. The Warriors need to trade Draymond Green ASAP.
The same kind of up and down emotional stuff, but you're not backing up with the same play. Like, he's shooting under 40% legs. He's like 39.8. His 2-point stuff is just gone. The free throw, he doesn't get to the line. His turnovers are the highest they've ever been. And offensively, he's just kind of an afterthought in a league where the centers have gotten bigger. There's just every night there's a Şengün, there's a Robert Williams and Klingon together. The league just has more size. And last night was the first night I was like, I wonder if they would trade him.
Yeah, Draymond Green can't defend centers anymore. Players are more skilled. They're tall and lanky. So strength-wise, he used to be able to body up people. But skill-wise, he can't keep up with these offensive centers. So it can be Wemby, it can be Sabonis, or it could be more defensive-type players like Williams on Portland that's going to out-muscle Draymond, out-physical, and out-think him on the offensive end. It's just too much to deal with in this era of basketball. So he kept up, throughout the 2010s and early 2020s. But now these players are on a different level. He may be frustrated that he has to guard these centers, but he's like a tweener. He can't be a small forward, but he can't be a center, and he's a mid-power forward. So he's just pretty much out there trying to do what he can do, set moving screens for Steph Curry, and then hope that Steph Curry can bring the game on home and they can win. But when they're not winning, Draymond Green really looks like a fraud.
And last night was the first night I was like, I wonder if they would trade him. Like, I wonder if there was a Rui Hachimura and a contract for Draymond, just like, let's just mix this up and go in a different direction. Or with Sabonis sitting out there for the Kings and a contract for Draymond, just like, let's just mix this up and go in a different direction. Or with Sabonis sitting out there for the Kings, could that be a Draymond, Kuminga, and picks? And let's just try to get a guy. But did your mind go there last night? Because this is yet again another Draymond saga.
Yeah, will the Warriors be willing to trade Draymond? I do believe so, but does he have trade value? Or at this point, could he just be an additional piece to a trade just for like money and contract fillers in order to try to get back a decent player in return? Maybe so. I'm sure the front office, they're doing their math, their calculations, like, what do we have to attach to a Draymond Green to entice teams to want to trade? Yeah, Draymond Green making $25 million. Next year will be his last year with the Warriors as far as contractually. You pair that with Kuminga making about 22, Dre making about 25. So that's about 27 to 50 there. Throwing a first round pick and maybe a second round pick. Can you get a Zach LaVine? Could that be a possibility? He's making a lot of money, but again, if you get rid of $48 to $50 million, maybe that's enough to get one of those players that's into a contract like a Zach LaVine, a Sabonis. There's a handful of players out there that's making some decent money. You pair Kuminga and Draymond in a pick, I think you can get another player in return. So I get it. Draymond Green's supposed to be that lifer. He's like the Udonis Haslam for the Warriors, but he's going out sad. He's fighting players. And now he may even fight Steve Kerr if he's not careful. I think for their own safety, they try to trade Draymond Green by the trade deadline.
Mine's gone there for years, Bill, with regard to this story for years. Like, and last night, I was, people were hitting me up today about it, and I didn't see the game, but I went and watched what happened. I watched the interaction. I don't know exactly. It's hard to tell everything that was said, but I mean, Steve Kerr's a fiery guy, and so obviously this thing really escalated in that huddle. Moses Moody gets up at one point. He's trying to like get in between them. It looked to me to calm Draymond down more than anything. I will tell you this: in the years that I played in the league and all the years I've covered the league, I saw guys get thrown out of huddles. I saw guys get thrown off the bench and sent to the locker room. I saw guys get thrown out of practice. I never saw a guy by his own volition get up and walk to the locker room.
And people are trying to celebrate Draymond Green for not taking it there, arguing back and forth and then walking away, which would have been cool if he did that with KD or did that with Jordan Poole. But we know how those situations turned out. But he pretty much gave up on his team. Like, you know what? I'm so mad at Steve Kerr. I may punch him. Let me walk away and go to the locker room. That's cool, but it ain't cool at the same time, because what if the Warriors needed Draymond Green, but by him walking away, going to the locker room, Steve Kerr let it be known he wasn't going to come back in the game regardless. I know he came back to the bench, but he might as well have got dressed, talk to the fam, and just go home. It was a wrap for him. So Draymond Green is showing his selfishness. His anger is getting the best of him again, and when he's angry, he sees red. Anybody can get it. Steve Kerr, Jordan Poole, KD, maybe the owners of the Golden State Warriors, they could be punched by Draymond Green. Draymond Green doesn't care. They give him a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances to mess up, and now he feels as though, you know what, I could do whatever I want. I may get suspended for a few games, but all would be well sooner than later. They spoiled Draymond Green, and now it's backfiring on them.
Yeah.
During the game, and so at the time, you're not sure. Like, you can't tell. Like, did Kerr throw him out of the huddle? And then you find out Kerr says no. And Draymond said the same thing. And then it's true, because later Kerr was asked, well, when he came back to the bench, like early fourth quarter, whenever it was, were you going to put him back in the game? He said, no, absolutely not. Like, it was the quickest answer. No. He left the team. He left the huddle. He went to the locker room. No, he was not going back in the game. I personally haven't seen it. Now, maybe it has happened. I don't know of a time that it happened. Certainly not when my eyeballs saw it. That to me is pretty big. That's a pretty big thing. You walk away from the team in a 5-point game, when your team's a 500 team, like, every one of these matter, and you just get up and leave.
Yeah, and he's selfish like his phony goat, his king LeBron James. They do the same thing. They don't care what's going on. If they're done with the game, they're pretty much done with the team. So Draymond showed his selfishness. He got so angry, he took it out on the team. It wasn't about Steve Kerr. It's about Steph Curry, Kuminga, everybody, all your teammates. They rely upon Draymond Green. Even though he's a trash player at this point, he can still play some decent defense. And again, he's going to set moving screens for Steph Curry, and the refs, they're not going to call it. So he's an asset to the team. But again, when he's getting destroyed out there, he can't keep up with players. He's going at the refs. Draymond Green knows, you know what? Let me get angry. Let me get mad. Let me take my frustrations out on Steve Kerr and then walk off into the sunset. Draymond Green is a fraud. He's selfish, and the Warriors need to trade him ASAP. They really need to blow up this team during the offseason.
Because you say, I just thought it'd be better if I cool down and kind of separate myself from the situation. It's really kind of uncharted territory in a lot of ways. You don't see this. And that's why I'm curious to see does this move the needle at all for them when you combine it with some of his offensive issues he's had this year, which is a low point for him in his career.
Yeah.
Combined with this stuff, and are the dividends with the winning and the leadership and the defense, is all that stuff still outweighing all of that? because there was a time that no matter what the offense was, it was like good enough. And the emotional outburst, like, okay, because he was giving you world-class playmaking, IQ, and defense. Now you go, is that stuff still on that level to offset the offense plus this?
Yeah, it's not enough to offset it at this point. Maybe it was 5 and 10 years ago when you had prime Steph, prime Clay, then you throw KD in the mix, and then their team overall, the NBA wasn't as talented as it is now. So Draymond Green, he can crash out, go off on players, go off on his teammates, go off on coaches, and it wouldn't really matter because they were guaranteed to win a championship for like a 7-8 year window. Now the Warriors, they can't put up with Draymond Green's BS. Those antics are played out because they're struggling to stay at 500 and above. They're at the 8th seed now, so they're pretty much a playing team. They'll be a playing team every single season until they revamp this team. This team is played out. All you got is a 37-year-old Steph Curry that can still give you 25 and 30 points per game, but you got a diva Jimmy Butler. If he gets bored, if he gets frustrated, he'll give up. You got a Draymond Green. He'll crash out on players and coaches. So they got a lot of liabilities on the Warriors. And again, I know they want to keep this thing going, but it comes to a point to where, are we going to rebuild? Are we going to either let Steph Curry know, hey, we're going into rebuild mode? Do you want to retire? Or we'll honor you and try to get you to the team that you want? I'm sure there's a lot of teams that can use Steph Curry's services, but they got a lot of decisions to make this offseason. But it starts with getting rid of Draymond Green and especially Jimmy Butler.
And I think it's probably right about that point where it feels like almost a wash. So like, what would they do? I still doubt they would ever do it and ever move them. But
I don't doubt it. I think they would. I think they would. And if I'm another team, like the reason this initially came up was we're talking about the Lakers, right? A team that when they put their best 3 guys together, have a lot of trouble on defense. And the net ratings with LeBron and Reaves and Luka together just hasn't been good. It makes sense. So you have 3 of the 5 guys you have out there and their defensive liabilities. LeBron's not a defensive liability if he's going all out, but I think it's hard for him to go out for 2 straight hours. You put Draymond on that team, reinvigorated with, I can't believe they traded me. I'm going to triple down and be a maniac. And that's kind of what the Lakers need. So I don't know. That one struck out to me. And then just the Kings.
Yeah, will the Warriors be willing to trade Draymond Green? I do believe so, but what can they get from the Lakers? A Rui Hachimura? A Vando? Like, who's really out there to where they're going to move the needle as far as what the Warriors need? Now, I know Draymond Green, he may be like he wants to be a Warrior lifer, but if he has an opportunity to play with his king, his BFF LeBron James, he's not going to give up that opportunity. He already glazed him 24/7. Now you could be next to him and glaze him at the same time. So that's a win-win situation for Draymond. Either he stays with the Warriors and continues to have the power within the organization, can act the fool and get away with everything, or he can play with his BFF, phony GOAT LeBron James, and end his career that way and go on that retirement tour with the Lakers. So I think they should make Draymond Green happy. Let the Lakers deal with Draymond Green and his antics. The only person Draymond Green respects is his phony GOAT, his king, his BFF, LeBron James. That's the only person that can keep Draymond Green in line. And then you throw Rich Paul and Clutch Sports in the mix. I think it'd be a great situation, but who would the Warriors trade for if they want to get rid of Draymond Green? To the Lakers.
With the way that their rookie center has evolved, who I think is a gem. I mean, congrats to them. But I think Sabonis is expendable to them. And you know, I want to talk about that later. But I think Sabonis is on the table, and he should be if you're the Kings. You stink anyway. Why wouldn't you trade him?
Let me follow up first on what you said about Draymond. I completely agree with you, by the way. I think like it would be like that final adrenaline push from Draymond. If something like that were to go down, I do think he's still a guy that's going to help somebody win games. There's no doubt. When it's been the totality of how long it's going on in Golden State, and you reach this point, you look up, you're 500 team, you're at the end of the Curry era. You don't look like a team that can contend. Would you be willing to do it? I still don't think they would. But if they did, I do think there's something more there still for Draymond Green, with something to prove if he were to go to a team that was playing for something and what he could add.
You're talking about one of the more competitive.
He ends up in Golden State the rest of the year.
Well, you're talking about one of the most competitive non-superstars we've had this century. And if they did trade him, the fire that would be lit under him. The bigger question for me,
Yeah, I know Draymond Green probably got a couple games left in him at a high level, maybe defensively, set some moving screens. But again, maybe it's time for a change of scenery. They only got to deal with him for a year, and maybe he'll probably act on his best behavior, knowing that this is my last season next season. Maybe you won't have too many antics with him. But again, if you got a chance to trade Draymond Green and potentially get back some good assets on the team, I think that'd be great for the Warriors. They gave up on Klay Thompson. They treated him like trash his last year or two. Now I think you do the same thing with Draymond Green. Why is Draymond Green exempt from the team rules? Why can't he go off on Steve Kerr and other players and still be on his team? And you don't really hear about any trade rumors when it comes to Draymond Green. I know his value is limited, but by him having that expiring contract, his value raised by 100% because there's a lot of disgruntled players out there that wouldn't mind playing with Steph Curry and the Warriors. So that $25 million from Draymond Green or whatever he's making in his last season, then you include a little bit of this season. He's a trade filler, just an additional piece to make the money work. So if the Warriors can trade him to the Kings for Sabonis, you may have to throw in Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan, he ain't happy with Steve Kerr and the organization. So you got to add Draymond, Kuminga, in a first-round pick, if you have it, to any one of those teams and see what you can get. But I do believe Draymond Green, he'll be doing backflips if he gets to play with his BFF, LeBron James. It's time to move on from Draymond Green. He's costing the Warriors in a negative way.
They're not on my contender list. They're not on yours either. They do need to do something. They only have a couple contracts. They're paying Butler like almost $55 million. Curry's they're not trading. So it really moves down to like Kuminga plus contracts, and it just gets easier if it's with the way the apron is for Kuminga and Draymond. I like the fit for the Lakers. Obviously, he has a long relationship with LeBron, and you know the clutch factor, which I don't even know matters anymore with the Lakers. But that one jumped out to me. And then could the Warriors turn contracts and picks into one more premium guy? And if you were them, does that even matter? Has the ship sailed? Can you say the ship sailed when you have Steph Curry? You kind of can't sail the ship as long as he's on the team, right?
Totally agree with that. You can't. Curry there's not been this, big time discernible drop off in what he's capable of. There's just not enough on that team to where now you can load up on him in a different way than you were ever able to defensively. You don't have to worry about the counters that they run and overcommitting to him the way they would make you pay in the past. This team doesn't do it to that extent. Even Jimmy Butler, like when it ends up in Jimmy Butler's hands, that feels a lot different. If you run two, it's Steph coming off a dribble handoff and the ball ends up back in Jimmy's hands. That's a lot different than what it used to look like when that ball ended up with Klay Thompson and a quick release three, and the way that they would just punish you if you tried to play on the top side of Steph or you didn't communicate the switches or the down screens properly and all that running he does. They punished you in a way they don't as much. And so, no, it's just not enough. Curry, to me, would still have that in him if he had enough around him. If you had to go and figure out a way to bring in a guy like we're talking about on that level that's a needle mover for them, you would have a serious depth issue most likely with this team. But if you had Jimmy Butler, you had Steph Curry, and you added another star player to the mix, very difficult to just dismiss Steph Curry's chances.
Yeah, Steph Curry really needs help. I know they try to push that narrative of LeBron James that he always needs help, but Steph Curry, his last few years have been up and down. Offensively, you can double team Steph, and there's really nothing that the Warriors can do as far as scoring. If it goes in Jimmy Butler's hands, he's going to try to get to the basket. There's no one that's going to hurt the opposing team like when they had prime Klay Thompson that can shoot that ball, so that makes a lot of sense. So they really need another offensive player, not just any player, if you're going to pair up a Kuminga and a Draymond Green in a pick to try to get some more talent. Either you got to get at least two solid offensive players or one dominant offensive player that can match Steph Curry energy as far as putting the ball into the basket. So again, I don't know what's going to happen with a trade. They may just fall back and just try to ride out with Draymond Green one last season, but don't offer him any more contracts if you choose to do so because he's a liability. But it would be good if they can trade Dre with a Kuminga to try to get another prime offensive scorer on his team. They need more offense. Steph Curry, he's going out sad. His last few years have been up and down, and it looks like it may continue that way. I really wish they can blow up this team, trade everybody except Steph Curry, and really try to make a playoff and a championship push over the next season or two. Hopefully that happens, but again, Draymond Green is slowly starting to burn his bridge with the Warriors, and they need to get rid of him ASAP.